Hello YouTube and welcome back to my channel. So try to ignore the banging and stuff there. Somebody's putting a roof on down the street, but alright, so anyway, it's the next day. Grab this thing. And this looks like it's pretty much dried. My little bracket kind of thing. So this is kind of what I did. I just, I didn't go crazy. Oh, it's got dirty. Yeah. Got some dirt on it, but let's see, get this. In fact, I think I'll wash my hands. I think it might be from my hands. Alright, so anyway, this is going to try to go on like somehow like that. Alright, I'm going to have to move the brackets and the, I'm going to have to move the brackets, or I'm going to, figure out which way it's going to fit the best. I just kind of had a rough idea, so I'm not really sure. And I also, I figured I was, well, let me center these. Well, I guess the first thing I should probably do is put the bolts in. So let's get the bolts in here. And those are going to go right into, well, it's going to be hard for you guys to see, but these things are going to go right into, let me see if I can put you over this side. See it from a different view. That's what we got. That's our, so that's the bracket I made that goes over the motor. It's basically the same thing in reverse as the bottom one. In fact, if you look at it, you'll see, I don't know if you can really see the bottom one, but it's kind of the same thing. So, and the bottom one is obviously welded to the frame. So, all right, now let's see what we can do here. Now I'm not really sure. I guess the best thing to do is probably put the bolts in and see how good this lines up. And of course, you probably want to. Almost like I planned it for, right? Yeah, I kind of made it a little tight. I didn't want it to be too loose, and I wanted to, again, hold the batteries down. Such a tight spot, too. I don't want to be taking this off much. I want to make sure everything fits before I go doing any kind of Loctite or anything else. Although I should probably put lock. Let me grab some lock washers. Some regular wash and lock wash. Should be on the safe side. Alright, you know what? Yeah, I'll add a couple lock washers, and this way it'll make sure it's not going to go anywhere. Alright, let's put this on. Trying to do this without dropping anything, which I know is going to be impossible. Gonna drop something, I know it. My hands just don't work the way they used to. Yay! There's one. Let's get the other one. This looks like that washer's been used before. Alright. I want to kind of get the batteries almost kind of centered. And this way I can tighten it up. How's that look? Does that look okay? Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Alright. Should work out well. Try to tighten these things up. It's funny because from the back, it looks like it's maybe cocked a hair to the right, but the motor and everything is straight, so it might have been something on my bracket or something. Yeah, you can see it straightening out now, I think, has some tightness in, so it should work out. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, feel better now. I was gonna put like, you know, like some kind of foam cushion or something, but honestly, it's so tight that I'm not really worried about it. I don't think they're gonna move at all, and I don't think it's gonna dig in. Like, I figured that they were gonna be a little loose. That's what I should have done, made them a little looser for, but I don't think it's gonna be an issue. Okay, she's tight. Get this one. Yeah, I don't think there's enough room for me to get in there with this. Yeah, it's almost done anyway. And then I thought that the best thing about this too was this gives me somewhere to mount this, because I was scared about going into the frame, and look at that. It's almost like it's made for it. So that'll work out real nice. Somebody had asked me a question about sizing for these motors, and I pretty much told them I'm trying to be honest. I think that's moving on the other side. I'm just, this is almost like a hit or miss for me. So I didn't realize that this excavator, it had a small motor. It wasn't anything big. What's that, 14? Let me see if I get a socket on the other side. Oh yeah, it's moving a little bit. Okay, that's perfect. Let me get a 14 millimeter. See if I thought I had one over here. Ooh, yeah. All right. But, so anyway, so somebody had asked me about the motors and stuff. And being honest, this is all hit or miss for me. I got kind of lucky with my mower over there. And that was just that motor came out of a floor burnisher. Well, this one, I figured, okay, let me get a hydraulic pump, because they have like those, what do you call them? Like the snow blowers, and you know, the people with the plow trucks and everything else. And I figured, all right, let me get one of those. Those motors should be fine because they're made for a plow. Well, it had no problem doing it, but it was a monster motor. And the problem was, it needed something like that to power it. Okay. Yeah, something heavy duty. Now, I could have got bigger batteries, but I'm not trying to go crazy with this thing. So I tried another motor. The motor that I got off of Amazon was like for a mixer or something. Like they showed it in the thing, like, oh, it's very powerful for a mixer or for a blender or like you know, like a cordless drill or something. Well, unfortunately, when the motor came, it was like not even it was a little baby nothing motor. They said strong and torquey, which as soon as I looked at the motor, I laughed and I just sent it right back. It's not going to work out. I mean, honestly, it might have, but I wasn't. It would have just been funny looking because it was so tiny. So, and I figured it was almost like the same they use in drills, but I needed something a little bit more powerful. So my next step was looking at what other motors they had, and I seen brushless, you know, the brushed. Then I seen these scooter motors, and they have them. I was reading, somebody said that they put it like 36 volts, and it worked fine, and everything else, and they're really strong and powerful. And my whole thing was the size. Well, I seen the size, and I figured, okay, it's a little more comparable, and I figured I'd give it a shot. So that's how I got to this motor. It was no, like, I didn't do any kind of math and no guessing or anything like that. I just really got lucky, or I should say, I'll keep trying things until they work. It's all like a hit or miss. I'm not, I used to be really heavy into all the electronics and everything else. After my car accident, I really don't do that much of it anymore. But, you know, but that's how I was able to get these motors. So anyway, so yeah, that's nice. This one's a little bit looser, but you know what? I gotta fix for that one too. This one's nice and solid. This one's a little bit, it's not too bad. But also the other thing I was saying was thinking about using the some kind of cable over here, and I just cut a piece of aluminum. So it's a decent sized piece of aluminum. I'm not going to need much, but I may shoot it with some paint. I don't know. I hope it fits. I guess it's something I should have measured. I think I measured everything, but I hopefully it'll work out okay. That would really suck. No, I think it'll reach. Barely. Ooh, kind of tight a little bit. I think I want to. Which one's the small one? There it is. The other thing too is you can see I should probably get a washer or something to put underneath because I think it's putting pressure on the top of the battery. Ah, it's so close. I really don't want to egg this out because I want it to be that tight. You know, let me get a couple washers. I think that's going to help level if I put 2 washers underneath it. It'll bring it up and it won't be bending as bad. Let's see if this actually helps out any. So just little washers. And I might have to trim a little bit because I don't think it's going to sit flush. Let me see if I can just trim these real quick. That worked out not too bad. I just like made a little divot in there so it'll fit nice. All right. That one. All right. Oof. so I think that'll maybe help it sit flush, yeah. Of course, I may need longer bolts. Barely fitting. See what happens. Okay. Yeah, I think I may have to do a... I'm going to need to get some longer bolts. 10 millimeters! Yay! Okay. Let's see what I have in 10 millimeter. Alright, let me see what I have in 10 millimeter. I think here, there's my other 10s, something a little longer. I think these are 10 millimeter. These may be too long though. Maybe the opposite problem. Well, that's a 10 millimeter. There's another one. And let's see if that'll work out. Hopefully they're not too long now. The other problem. Well, I can always shorten them, I guess. Yeah, that feels like that's off just a hair. It's so close. Ah, I hate doing this too. It's like so close. But I guess we'll go another size on both holes, and that should be enough. Guess I should have measured a little better. Nothing a good old Unibit can't fix. Alright. I think I'm going to end up painting this anyway, to be honest with you. That one fits nice. This one doesn't fit so nice. I think this one has bad threads. Yeah, threads are not the best. Let me see if I can find another one of the other ones. I got two just in case. Not sure which one's going to work out better. Here's one. Okay, that feels a lot better. But it's a little loose and it seems like it's at the end. So I think this one's a little bit smaller. Now all I'm doing is just jumping this over to make this 24 volts. Yeah, that feels better. Okay. Is it, or is it not even? Yeah, there it goes. Okay. This. Okay. Make sure that's good. So I figure with this and that, between this strap, between the bracket, yeah, this is not going to go anywhere. And I figure because it's going to be doing a lot of jumping around and everything else. Yeah, that's really nice. Okay. That is nice. Nothing really sharp or nothing like that. That's why I rounded the edges. I didn't need anything. I should have done the same thing to this bracket too. But so anyway, so now we should have 24 volts at the terminals. Let's see if we do have that. Grab my meter. I do apologize. I should have had some of these things ready. But there's my meter. There's DC. And we should be trying to read 24 volts. Well, probably 26, 27. There we go. You see that? 26.67 volts. I'll take it. Okay. Alright, let's go on to the next step. Let's see where we're at now. So, my next step is to mount this probably in the center there. And what I'm going to do is, obviously, power is going to go. Which side is the battery side? You know what? This side's actually the battery side. I don't want to do it like that. If I do it like that, it's putting it upside down, but there's a reason for it. Because that's the battery in, and that's the battery out. Now, would that be a problem with something hitting it and popping it open? Nah, I don't think so. You think that would be a problem? Nah, I don't think so. Alright. What my plan is to use this, and I'm going to use a relay, which again, I'm going to have to find a spot. I should have never covered up that hole. I could have drilled it right there. I put weld on a little hole that was there. I guess I could still, no. Figure it out. Like I said, everything I do is pretty much play by ear. So, as I, see it, I do it. I really don't have any kind of direction. My background is I did car stereos and alarms for 30, 40 years. I was also a journeyman plumber, but my love was electronics. So, all right, we got that part done. We got that part done. I got to take off this thing because this is killing me. So, all right. All right. So we got to get some wires over there. All right, so now let me figure out where I'm going with this. Take this off of here. Don't need this anymore. Definitely don't need this. All right. Sorry about that. Got a little backed up with something. All right. These here. All right. So what I have here is these wires right here coming up are from. This one is the battery meter, and this one is the switch. Yeah, this one's the switch. Then what I have is I have these wires, which I want to put a piece of wire loom on. Bring them up. And they're the ones that are going to go through the frame. Oh, sorry about that. They're the ones that go through the frame. Let's get the motor on the other side to protect it. Come on. Okay, so that's that, that's that. I could probably even bring it up on this side right there. Is there any room? Possibly, maybe. I don't know. Alright, now this is the ground side. Alright, let's think of how we're going to do this. Or do I want to just have power? No, probably easiest way to do it is right to there, put a terminal there, come off of there, and I guess I should probably just mount the relay up there, I guess. Doesn't really matter where it goes. Probably even mount it to the bolt right there, go right through. Just trying to make everything like clean. I don't want wires everywhere and something that's going to be, an eyesore and everything else. Let me get some connectors here and my crimpers. Of course, I can't find any of my connectors now. Alright, let's see how we're going to do this. The easiest way, I really hate cutting and splicing. And unfortunately, that's what I think I'm going to have to do on this one. Man. Alright. Used up all my connectors on the other things I was doing, so alright. I thought I had more there somewhere. I'm going to have to order some. I'm not going to like this, so. Alright. That one will be positive. Alright. And of course, this one coming off of here would be the negative. Oh, you know what I could do? I think I have that small piece. Is that too much overkill? I think that's going to be an issue. Although I can probably just put it like that, have no problems with it. Alright. Got this part. I'm not really good at editing either, so just fast forward through a lot of this stuff. Alright, so that should fit there. That's just going to be such a... Boy, that's just so overkill for that, honestly. I have no way of really... Alright. It's going to be what it's going to be. I'm just using what I have right now. I have to order some other parts. And okay, that's nice and tight. That's nice and tight. That's the auxiliary. Alright, let me get a couple, put these inside. Get a couple screws and my drill. Anybody ever see a DeWalt drill do this? Nice and talking, huh? Yeah, I've had issues with this thing for a while. Dropped it once, cracked, and I've been using it ever since. These are nice to use because they're self-tapping. They have like a drill bit head on them. I use them all the time. I love them. kind of like a self-tapping kind of thing. All right, put that one there. That's why I love them so much. Just go right in. Work out so well. Oh, you're not even looking. What are you guys looking at? All right, that looks centered. Now, I don't want to confuse myself here. That's why I wrote on that. But somewhere along the line, I'm going to switch this from positive to negative. And I get the positive for the motor part anyway, because this has got to be run in the reverse direction there. All right. That's why I have it as counterclockwise. And I did keep the colors the same over down there, so I wouldn't confuse myself. But I will remember to put the black to there, or I should say, the ground is going to go to black, the ground is going to go to positive, and the positive is going to go to ground. It sounds confusing, but I know what I'm doing here. In fact, I might get some more things, but let's do this for now. All right, so obviously we're going to want to ground the motor. Now, that being said, the motor can just be grounded. Now I can do that by just bringing the positive up, because again we're switching this. Let me get, yeah, I want to take this one off because I don't want that one on there. I'm just going to send the positive right to that. This way I'll have the black one left, but that's actually going to be my positive, and I'll show you how I do all this. Because I'm going to need positive off of this to power the relay, and I'm going to use this as a positive or a negative trigger. I'm not quite sure yet. Probably a negative trigger. It's usually the easiest, I think. All right. See, and I don't have a connector on that either. Man. All right, let's try to use this one. I hate doing stuff like this. I hate when I don't have the right connections or anything else. Because I realistically would like to just bring this red one to that red one. And again, it's the ground part, so it's not the positive. It's going to really be confusing for somebody if they got to... Oh, woohoo, see that? Yay, it's live. That's what you don't want. All right, so this positive, we're going to bring just the motor positive. Oh, look at that. I could have probably, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. All right, let's redo this. I got to have a connection anyway, right? I got to have a splice anyway. So let's just splice it here. Okay. Yeah, see, I have to splice it anyway. You see the splicing? So why not just splice it over here? So this is ground. Yeah, this we'll send this part through here. It's going to be safe. That's the positive part. And of course, there it is. All right. So I'll just cut this thing here. And this is on the motor side, so I wonder if I might have some connectors. Yeah, as you can see, the wires are so tiny coming off. Well, not so tiny, but they're only like I'd say maybe a 16 gauge coming off of there. I think these are around a 12 gauge, maybe a little bit. There it is. Now I've had great success with making solid wire connections and then just using wire ties to complete them. Wish I had smaller ones. All wire ties. I'll show you how I make my connections. So, okay, so we don't need this one now. Let's pull the yellow one off, the red one off. Now we have to remember that black is positive. But, yeah, these are the way I make my connections. Do this. I ran out of black too, so I got to use colors. But believe it or not, this is a 3M stuff. This is really good, expensive stuff. 3M is the best for the tape. And then after you're all done, sorry you didn't see that, after you're all done making your connection, put a piece of tape on. Now I'm going back old school. I learned this a long time ago from a guy. I've been doing this for over like probably 40 years. I've been doing it like this. And what the wire tie does is it stops tapes from unraveling, and you never lose your connection. All right. Oh. Dropping over everything. All right, we're getting closer. And the other thing I have to do too, which I don't have to, but I wanted to really wire in a plug somewhere because this would be good for charging. And I can actually put that after the fact, basically just right there and a ground, just a wire from here to there, jump it. I can always do that later on though. I'm not worried about that right now. Okay, so that's that, that's that. All right, so we can actually put a, and that's the other thing I gotta get to. I don't know what happened to all my 1/4 inch wire loom. I had so much of it and somehow it disappeared on me. All right, so that's the black. So in turn, this is now my new positive. So let's just say if I put this here, if I was to close this breaker right now, it's on. Shut it off. But I'm not going to use this as my switch. I don't want to do it that way. So let's get this one back that way. Come on. Oh, it's because of the wire tie. All right. Yeah. All right. We can always fix that later on. Because I'm going to have to shorten that anyway. And I want to get some 1/4 inch stuff anyway. All right. So, I'm trying to think how I'm going to do this. All right. Trying to think of the relays now. Okay, so I don't need the center one in the relay. I'm going to do this out. And what I used to do this all the time is that, considering I'm not using it at all on that yellow one, and I won't be using it, I used to just pull them right out. You can't even see that. Yeah, just pull it right out of the, just pull the wire right out. The crimps aren't the best anyways. You can see, I can see that one, and this one's really cheap, but usually pull them out to make it easy. So, let's put the relay back on here. I'm getting discombobulated now. Alright, let's use my red, which is really going to be, this is going to go to the motor, so my red is really going to be black. Now, I'm going to put this to the motor and to the, this is going to go to the motor, oh, and the battery gauge, that's right, okay. And that's going to be positive out, so these two, which would be blue and white, yeah, blue and white, that's going to be positive. That's going to be the positive coming from the power going in. then this black one, as soon as I tap it to a negative, that will trigger the relay. So I'm going to use so then the switch, the wires, basically these wires right here, the blacks are going to go to ground, and the one red here is going to go to the red on this, and the black on the motor, and then the other side is going to be black, is going to go to ground, and that's going to trigger this switch. Sounds confusing, but it's actually pretty simple. Now I think I do have blue connectors, so if I have those, okay, that'll work out good. I don't know where I'm going to mount these at. Not really sure yet. All right, we need one more. Okay. All right, that should help out. All right, let's see if I can do this way. So there's my blue, my black. I should say my positives. Probably mount that just like that, because the red's going to go to the black of the motor, which I could probably bring down this side. And so this will be my trigger. So right now, if I was a trigger, that'll, oh wait, I'd have to click that in, but as you can hear, the relay's clicking. So that's power off. That red will go to the black of the motor. Same thing, I'll undo the tape, but I'm also going to hook up the positive of that battery meter to the same wire. Now this wire is from the switch, and this one we're just going to use, one side's going to be ground and the other side's going to go to the relay to trigger everything. So basically meaning that these two grounds are going to go over to the ground part. And what I'm going to do is, yeah, I can actually use these connections because I have a smaller one. So, all right, let's see what'll reach. Let me do the keep these over here. Let me do the black one first. All right, I should say that. Well, no, I'm going to need the power of that one too. Okay. All right. Let me do it this way. I guess this is going to go like that. Oh, come on, people, leave me alone. You know, just when you're trying to get something done, you just never can. Yeah, right. So we can bring this one over here too. I don't know why I didn't do that earlier. Should have made it so I can put them in the same place. Man. All right. We got this red one's going to go up there too. Yeah. This is going to be the output. Same thing with there. So you know what? Let me see if I can do the same thing again. Let me. I think what I'm going to do is just mount this like this. I could probably even go over there. Yeah. Let me get another one of those screws. right into the mount for the circuit breaker, right? Just put it underneath there. Okay, nice. And like I said, once I get the better wire tie or better wire loom, I'll clean it up that way. All right, so now I don't really even need this one there now because I can pull this one out, do the same thing again, undo the tape, just cut it, because now this black one now is our positive. I know, sounds confusing, but trust me, I feel bad for the next person that's got to get in here if they ever have to. They're going to be like, what did this guy do? But, you know, the next person's going to be me anyway, so. All right. Yeah, this is still going to be positive. Positive on the meter. Sorry, I'm kind of going over you here. All right. Let's bring these wires back this way. Yeah, it's a little tight. All right, well, I'll just do it this way, I guess. I wish there was a way I could. Like I said, this is going to be the this one out. Oh, you know what? Maybe I got a yellow connector. That would make it a lot easier. Yellow connector. So this is going to be the hard part, though, is because that connection's down there. If I bring that down there, is that even going to reach? Yeah, it's going to be a little tight. Let me see if I can get it from the other side. Let's see if I can move this here. Yeah, this is my problem right here. If I get that on the other side. Right over here, got this wire. You know what? Let me bring it out this way to make the connection on it. It's like it's tight on both sides. I don't have a good area, but as soon as I can make this connection. Hopefully now I can bring it through and make the other connection, unless I actually unscrew this first again. So I can do it that way. It's only because this one is just so tight, and here's the connection. And this is for the battery meter and the motor. Let's see if we can take that off a little bit. Don't really want to lose any more wire on this if I don't have to. Just making that connection is going to be tough. Now I'm going to get my crimper in there. Yeah. All right. Hopefully that made that connection. The easiest way to figure it out would be This one, so this should be, you can see that, this should be the ground wire. If I made my connection properly, if I hit this over here, the relay will click, even though this is, I should tighten this up. Come on. Okay. So as I was saying before, with this wire right here, if I hit it on the ground, oh, look at that, it works. Crazy. It's almost like I knew what I was doing there. So yeah, so basically, oh, man, everything just dropping everywhere. All right, so I mean, I got to clean the wires, but basically what it does is it gives you, go back this way. So what I did with the relay is, this is basically power coming from the circuit breaker going into there. This is basically like my fuse. It's overkill and yeah, whatever, but that's pretty much like my fuse. That goes through here. Now, since I gave it a positive over here and a positive in, it goes positive out when you give this thing a negative, because this is going to trigger it. Now, my next step would be my next step will be answering my phone first. This is really getting to be annoying now. All right, whatever. My package is on the way. Okay, great. All right, so my next step would be is I still have this ground. Okay, now this ground is the ground down here. This ground is the ground for the power meter. For the power meter, gauge, whatever you want to call it. Now over here, these two are my switch. So basically one side's going to get ground, and that's going to be the same size as that one. So what I'm just going to do is tap it in right there, and then the other side of this switch is going to go directly to that wire. So basically, let me give you a better example would be, let me start to try to give it to you a little better example. All right, so this one is the positive, but the reason this one went is because the power came out of the relay to the battery meter. So basically meaning when I give this thing a trigger, it's going to give power to the meter and that. So it just needs a negative. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to cut this shorter to tie this negative, and basically one wire from this will go to the battery, the negative side, and the other side will go to one side of the switch, and then it will feed a negative back out again. So basically this is just a wire I use, but it'll be negative in, and then that means when you hit the switch it'll give me a negative out, and that's that one. So it's just easy for me to remember. I don't know. Okay, let me do, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use another wire, and this doesn't have to be anything huge, so I don't even need to use one of these big ones. But I guess I can. It's not really going to make a difference. Yeah, we'll do that. It doesn't really matter which one I use, but I'll use one of these and I'll make a connection. Let's use the shorter one. All right, where's my 10 millimeter again? All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to undo this. I think what makes this confusing in one way is that, did something move here? Yeah, that looks like that moved a lot or something. I'm missing something here. Yeah, I think it was on this side actually. Yeah, see that? All right, so I'm going to do something to tighten that side up a little bit. Okay. All right, so let's pull this out of here. Connect this thing right here. We can go under. Doesn't really matter. The biggest thing is just trying to keep everything nice and neat, and that's what I want to try to do. Get some wire loom in some of these. Some of it's easy, but some of it's really a pain. this negative is going to go down there and through there. And this shouldn't damage anything because, again, it's not a, it's just a ground. That's why I use negative triggers. Unless you hit the positive somehow. Alright, so that one. So let's extend this wire. Or I got a better idea. Let's take this black that goes right from there, hook it up to this one through there, and then I'll tap the black. If you understand what I'm saying. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to tap the ground in there. That's going to bring my ground back down here. Right. Yeah, I'm going to, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put connector right here. That'll bring my ground down there, and then I can make the connections down there. Jump open the ground, and that'll work out good. It's my lucky day. Alright, so yeah. As long as this doesn't confuse me or anybody else. Ugh. Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, I don't do a lot of the editing on these. I just basically record and send it out. So if I make a mistake, you're going to see my mistakes. Just the way I do things. So just fast forward through a lot of this stuff. I'm not really the best teacher either. So now this negative wire now is now my trigger. But it's hooked up to the battery gauge. So I now, even though I made the connection up here, I'm going to make the connections down there now. So this can be, yeah, that can go down there, that's there. Okay, so now my negative, yeah, that's to the gauge. So this negative is the negative coming off of here. That's coming off the battery. And the same thing with the switch. Now, I could have used a different gauge wire too. Where you at? Over here. Over here. Sorry about that. I keep moving you guys. Hopefully this. Yeah, it's not going to make the best connection. There it goes. Okay. So now my negative, this is negative coming, this negative's got to go in there because that's for the battery meter. One side of this will go into there, and then one side will be my negative trigger. Let me get my other Oh, the good news is we're almost done. All right, let me get this thing in here. It just makes it a little bit easier. This is like one of the, I don't even know where I got this wire from. It's like a thermostat wire or something. But it'll work. So to make it easy, let's say the ground, that's the ground for the switch, and this is the ground for the battery meter. And that's going to go right into my ground. And after I get the better connectors, I'm probably going to redo all these connections anyway. I just ran a little short with things. All right, so now this one here, this is now coming from the switch. So now since it has negative going in, this coming out when I hit the switch will be a negative trigger. And that negative trigger goes to my negative trigger up here. So that wire coming down from the relay is this one right here. That's my trigger. That's my switch. The best part will be cleaning up all these wires and making it look neat. I just got to get some wire loom and stuff. Oh, look at that. Switch off. Should have had that open. Well, at least we know it's going to work, right? Okay, so that's the other connection. So, oh, you just seen it working, so I don't know if the battery gauge is working though, so let's see. Let's get over here. I got some messages off, but here's the battery gauge. I'm not even sure if you're going to be able to see it anyway. Let's hit the switch. No. Came on. You just can't really see it. It's very hard to see. Yeah, it's showing like 66%. That's really not correct because it's got power on, so yeah, I guess I might do something different with that, but it doesn't really matter because once I shut it off, it just shuts everything off, which is fine. I don't really need anything anyway. So basically it would just be, yeah, this thing is, I just lost my train of thought. Forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, basically the way it's working now is this relay. I guess the battery meter, well, no matter which way I do it, it's not going to make a difference. The only thing I could have done is I can make an extra switch for get you back down here. I can make an extra switch for the motor if I want to, and then for the battery gauge. But I'm only going to use them at the same time. And as you can see, it's just this little push button switch. That's all I use. Push it in, push it out. That's really all it is. You would actually hear the relay clicking if you didn't hear the motor. And then this is just a circuit breaker, kills the whole system. So no matter what I do with this, it's not going to do anything. So yeah, it's I'm very. That looks like that's a little crooked, but I think it's an optical illusion. That's that. That's that. So let me do some cleaning up here with some of these wires. And yeah, like I said, I'm waiting on some wire loom and stuff. At least it's done. Done, 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 done. The electronics part will be done. My next video is I have one, well, let me finish this up while I'm here, I guess, right? See what we can do to make this a little neat. I think I have bigger wire loom too. But, where are these other, what did I do with, oh, there they are. Little wire ties. Alright. Yeah. That's why you need the little wire ties sometimes. I'm going to actually tighten that a little more. Here's my drill. Okay, nice and tight. Drill still hanging in there. Okay. This piece. Let's cut that piece. should have my other scissors or something somewhere. Probably be a little cleaner than this. Nothing a couple wire ties can't handle. Yeah, this thing's just too big. So then I'll do this. I can actually bring it to that. Yeah. It's like I don't have some of the wire. I don't have some of the wire loom I need, and some of it's just too big, and then some of it's too small. It's just like I can't win. But yeah, you guys get the idea, right? This is just boring part, cleaning it up. Some people enjoy it just to make it look professional in a way. That one probably need a longer one too. But what I usually do is just tie wire ties and get some wire ties. Another tip too for you guys, wire ties, right? When you get them brand new, don't cut them at the top. They'll fall all over the place. Get the side of it, okay? The little hole in it. So these things are like vacuum packed. But just cut a little hole in the side of it. And then just basically twist them out this way. This way the bag, see what I'm saying? You won't lose them. And then they pop right out. And I just dropped them. Just a stupid little tip. Another one is too is when you cut the wire ties, try to cut them at the edge so you won't get that little sharp part. If you do that, it doesn't leave anything sharp at all. Nothing. It's usually better and sharp. Or you just use a razor blade too. A razor blade works out really well too. Some people don't even take off the wire ties. Some people do. It's whatever preference you like, whatever you want to do. All right, get down there. It is a lot harder to work with a camera. I think I was just seeing somebody else that said that too, how much longer it takes with a camera. I think it's just because, you're trying not to make any mistakes, or you're trying to move around the camera and trying to move this around, and it is a pain. It's a shame I guess it would be easier if I just had just a camera of everything, but then you really wouldn't see the close-ups and stuff like that, so. Like that's going to need another one. Something like this one. I think I have bigger ones too. And that's why you need the wire ties to help keep everything together. Something like this. And I think this one has to be cut right about there. I think that's for that one. Yeah, And there's one on the other side too I think I need. And then the motor one itself, I remember they used to have like T connections and stuff for these. I don't know if they still make them or not. They might. Not that I really care or that I'm going to waste the money on them, but okay. Let's cut this one. Something like this one. Something like this helps out because it makes it a little bit neater of a cut. It's funny because I made these little plates for each side of the pipe that's open, and I was just going to, you know, trim a little thing for the wire to go through. Either glue them in, bolt them in, do something. That'll maybe be next time, or when I'm all finished and just cleaning things up. Okay. That one's there. That's there. That's there. And then there's just a couple over here, which I'll just use some wire ties and clean them up. Alright. So this is pretty much real time. I did not stop this video. I did not, you know, edit anything. You're seeing all this in pretty much real time. Just so, you know, any mistakes I made, anything, it's all in it. Because I don't really have a computer to edit stuff. And, you know, honestly, I don't really have the time either. Okay, this one, I'll cut this one. I think there's one more right there. That little red one right there. It's a little tight. And again, I don't have to do all this. This is almost like overkill in a way. Okay. That's that. Wire tie some of these together. These over here. Maybe when I'm all done doing the fluid change and everything else, maybe I'll even, you know, put a wire tie around all these, or a whole clamp or something. I don't know. Not really sure, just playing it by ear. Like I said, everything for me is just hit or miss. So, well, for now, that's pretty good. For now, I'm happy with that. Got tons of cleaning up to do. Alright. So, anyway, yeah, we're pretty much done with this thing now. So, we should have the power. We have everything good to go. This is the switch. Hit the switch in. We're running. We're running good. Our battery gauge is working. You can lift up. There we go. Oh, you're not even looking. Yeah. Now lifting me up off my ground. Oof. That's not fun. Move this thing around. Nice. It's good enough for me, right? It'll work. My next step is, yeah, I still got to do some little bit of painting here and there. I got to change the filter, clean out the hydraulic. You know, I want to drain it, redo the fluids, change the filter, and my last thing would be is, well, one of my last things is this cylinder. This one's leaking really bad. So as you can see how bad it's leaking. So they want like $200-300 to replace to fix these. Well, this bar right here is only, I think it's like an inch maybe. Well, this one's an inch and a half, and it was only 124. So it was just getting the adapters. I had to get the adapters and some of the cables. I got everything I need now. So next video, that will be the one. But anyway, thanks for watching. I know this is going to probably take a while to upload. I really apologize. Just fast forward through all the, you know, the parts you don't want to watch or whatever it is. So, and that's the battery meter thing. I just mounted that there. And I ran the wires right through the center there with a snake. So, anyway, all right. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Hope everyone is safe and well, and talk to you on the next one. Thanks for watching.